Alright, what is going on, guys? Today I'm doing a playoff tier list. So usually I do the NFL weekly tier list of all the teams, but now that we're into the playoffs, finally a wild card weekend, I'm going to be doing all the teams, all 14 of them, so all the teams at the top. I couldn't find one with just the playoff teams, and I wasn't going to make one, so we're just going to go with this one. It's just all the 14 at the top. And this is just based on my confidence in each team going into the playoffs and how far I think they can go. And I'm going to start with the Jaguars. I'm going to put them at B tier. I do think they're, as a roster, especially at quarterback, obviously, they're really inexperienced when it comes to the playoffs. I do think it's nice that they are playing the Chargers first, which I don't believe the Chargers defense is that good. Their coach obviously has been there. He's won a championship. I would have the Jags winning this mainly because of Doug Peterson. I don't think Brandon Staley's that great of a coach. I think Doug's a better coach. Herbert obviously a better quarterback, but I don't think the spread between the two is that great. But I'm gonna put them at B. I think they're under. I think it's like a 1-point spread for that game. So I don't think they're favored in the wild card game. I wouldn't be surprised if they win. This is probably the most evenly matched game, is Chargers at Jacksonville, so this should be a really good game. But I'm going to put them at B just because of the lack of experience. Seahawks, I'm going to try to have no C and D teams just because it is the playoffs. They are the top teams in the league, so I think it'd be kind of disrespectful to have a C tier. Or actually, I guess I will have a C tier for some of these teams without starting quarterbacks. But I'm going to put the Seahawks at a B tier. I think their roster overall is really good. I think they're limited at quarterback with Geno. I understand he's had a phenomenal year, or his best year of his career. But compared to all the other quarterbacks in the playoffs, he's definitely one of the worst quarterbacks, or lower on the totem pole. They have great weapons, good defense. Pete Carroll obviously has been to 2 Super Bowls, won one, lost one. Makes the playoffs at least every other year. I think they've overachieved this year, but I do not have them winning a playoff. Who are they playing? They're playing the 49ers, so that'll be hopefully a good one, but I see them with the lowest ceiling in the NFC. And I mean, they're 7 seeds, so that's expected. The Chargers, I'm going to put them at A. I do know, like I said, Trevor Lawrence is inexperienced, and I kind of lowered him for that one, and so is Herbert. Herbert, first time in the playoffs. But I do think Herbert, any given Sunday, can go out there and win you a game. Like, just have an incredible game. And I don't know, I just see that, like, with that being possible. Yeah, I get it, Trevor Lawrence can do that, but I just think Herbert has a higher ceiling right now, or he's just better right now in general. And I trust him to win this game, move on to the second round, and then whoever they play in the second round, I think they have a fighting chance only because they have Justin Herbert. Their roster won't be as good as the Bills, the Chiefs, or the Bengals, but when you have Justin Herbert, I think you can win. You can walk in any game and potentially win it. So I'm going to have them at A tier. The Chiefs, obvious S tier. You got the best quarterback in the NFL. You have the best coach in the NFL. You have the best potential weapon in Travis Kelce in the NFL. That's why they've been to 4 straight AFC championships. That's why they've been to 2 Super Bowls. That's why they won one. Yeah, there's not much to say. I do think they're the best team in the NFL. I think right now the odds are in the Bills' favorite, if I saw it right, or ESPN maybe had the Bills as the highest favorite and then the Chiefs. But I would put all my money on the Chiefs. I just think they have the best at not every position, but mainly coach and quarterback, which in my opinion and most is the most important in the playoffs. Miami, this might be my only C tier. I'm sorry, Miami Dolphin fans, but if you have Skylar Thompson out there in the playoffs up in Buffalo, I think they're gonna get blown out in the first round. And I think they're the team with the lowest chance of winning a game this weekend. If Tua's in, yeah, I'll move you up to B tier, but I still wouldn't have that much faith in him, especially after it's his second concussion. He's been out for several weeks. The offense is just terrible without him. I understand they have really good weapons. Potentially, arguably the best duo or wide receiver duo in the NFL. But if you have Skylar Thompson, there's only so much you can do. Bucks, I'm going to put them at A. I think they're underdogs in the game actually against the Cowboys. I think yesterday it was a 3-point spread for the Cowboys. I wouldn't be surprised with the Bucks win. I actually think they I would probably bet on them winning the game. They're playing better football as of late. Cowboys just came off a humiliating loss. I understand the loss doesn't affect the seeding and stuff. They weren't playing for anything, but they went into that game thinking they could still get the 1 seed, and they got completely blown out by Washington. Also, it's Tom Brady. I'm not putting Tom Brady any lower than an A on this tier list. I think he's obviously the quarterback you want to face the least in the playoffs. I get him Mahomes and Josh Allen and Burrows there, but it's still Tom Brady. He's, the greatest quarterback of all time in the postseason. I'm keeping him. Actually, I'm going to put him ahead of the Chargers. They would beat the Chargers in the playoffs. The Ravens. All signs point to Lamar playing. They have a great defense, great head coach, but Lamar hasn't played in over a month, I think, when he does step onto the field. Lamar, I think, is a top quarterback in this league. I'll put him in the highest tier. He should get paid all the money in the world, every dollar that they have. Their defense is good. Like I said, their coach is good. But he's been off for an extended period of time, and I just don't see him playing up to his standard or what he was last time we saw him. Especially coming off of an injury. I guess I've seen some speculation that it's like contract related. I think it's just injury, and he's not risking it. Or he's not risking putting his next season in jeopardy, especially when he's winning a contract. But I do think like the Jags would beat him if they played in the playoffs, only because of it's just Lamar's health is the only question. If not, I'd put him in A. I would put him above the Chargers if it wasn't Lamar's health in question. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to see him in the playoffs. First time we see him in a while. And who are they? Oh wait, they're the 6th seed, so they are playing the Bengals. Oh, that's massive. If he goes into Cincinnati, wins a wild card away game, they better pay him. Buffalo, I'm going to put him at S tier. Last year it took a miracle for them to not make the AFC Championship game. Same thing I said about the Chiefs. You have Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. That's going to win you some games just on its own. They are the 2 seed, so they are playing the 6 seed. Miami, I already met. They're going to blow by in the first round, wild card round, and then go on to play the Bengals most likely. And I think the Bills right now are the highest odds to win the Super Bowl, but I think this is probably the Super Bowl matchup, unless the Bengals. Bengals have a chance as well, but these two are the highest odds to win the Super Bowl. I would put my money on one of these two teams, and the Bills are right there with the Chiefs. The Giants. Now, this is an interesting. I guess I'll put them one above the Seahawks. You're obviously going to be limited. You're not going to have Lamar, Trevor Lawrence, but the Giants have been surprisingly decent as of late. I know they finished the season 2-6 or whatever it was. But I think their coach, Brian Daboll, is a great coach, or good coach at least. Who are they playing? They are the 6th seed. They are going to play the 2-seeded 49ers. So they're playing the Minnesota Vikings. That's definitely winnable. They could definitely walk into Minnesota and win that game. I know they did lose on a game-winning field goal to them. But they have a decent defense, decent offense. I know they're not highly ranked in both of them. I think their offense is probably last of all the playoff teams, and their defense is pretty much middle of the pack. But if they keep it low scoring, you're going to have an opportunity to win the game in the fourth quarter. I know to begin the season they had a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. They've done it before, but there is a massive lack of playoff experience on this team, except for head coach. But Daniel Jones, Saquon, they've never been in the playoffs. So that will hurt them. I'm excited to see what they do. Daniel Jones is on a contract year. I think this was his 5th-year option. But I will see, besides the Seahawks, obviously for good reason, they are the 6th seed, but they are the 2nd most limited team in the NFC. The Bengals, once again, another S-tier AFC team. We just saw them go to the Super Bowl last year. I can't put them anywhere lower than S-tier. Joe Burrow wins big games. It's all he does. The defense, I guess. I mean, you don't hear much about their defense. I don't think it's that great. It's one of the lower ranked defenses in the playoffs. I think it's like the 10th ranked defense of the playoff teams. But their offense is phenomenal. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna bet against Joe Burrow in the playoffs. Because going into last postseason, I didn't really. Who's their coach? I forget their coaches. Actually, I'm gonna look it up. I hate that I don't remember his name. Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor, in my opinion, is a good coach. I definitely like him this season a lot more than I did last season. I think that's going to help them in this playoffs. Vikings, I'll put them at A tier, right behind the Bucks. I mean, I get it. They're a 3 seed. What are they? 12-4. They're 13-4. So they've been great all season, but they have had some bad losses. They've been getting blown out recently. I don't know. I mean, they are on upset watch. Everybody's saying first round exits. I don't think they'll lose to the Giants. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think they're going to lose. I think they do win that. But I don't see any guy given chance they beat the 49ers in the second round. Like, I just don't see that happening. I think their defense is the worst defense in football, potentially. It's definitely the worst defense of all the playoff teams. I know we've all seen the whole negative point differential. I don't care too much about that, but they've had some bad losses that I just can't get out of my mind. So I'm going to keep them at A tier. The Eagles, I'll put them at S tier. They're the 1 seed. They've been the best team all year in the NFC. They did trip a little bit with Hurts. Actually, they did a lot. They had 2 losses, which is twice as much as they had all season with Hurts. I think Hurts was 14-1 as the start of the season. I get it. They didn't look great with Gardner Minshew. I somewhat blame the coach Sirianni on that. But Minshew's not playing in the postseason, so I'm going to just ignore that. I'm excited to see what Hurts. I know last year they got blown out by the Bucs, and that was a really bad loss. I think it was the worst loss of his career as of now. But I expect a little better round this time. I'm excited. I mean, they're the 1 seeds. They'll probably play. I mean, probably the Bucs or the Cowboys, and I mean that's probably what the highest odds are. But nonetheless, I'm excited. It does have 1 game under his belt, and I know it was hurting some of the quarterbacks for being inexperienced, but he has been there. This team's been there. I mean, majority of the team, like all their vets, have been to the playoffs numerous times. They've won a Super Bowl, so they have been there. But I'm excited to see what he does in the playoffs. The Cowboys, I will put them at A tier. I'm going to put him right here. I mean, Dak Prescott is not playing. I mean, he's playing some terrible football. I think it's 7 straight games he's thrown an interception. Mike McCarthy, I would say, is one of the worst quarterbacks. I mean, one of the worst coaches in the playoffs. If they lose this first round game, I would say he's probably going to get fired. I think Jerry's looking for any reason to fire him and just go for Sean Payton. But they also are the highest scoring offense with Dak Prescott, so they can outscore you. They can win shootouts. But if their offense does not get going, I don't see their defense stopping the Bucs all that much. Yeah, I mean that's a tough first round is Tom Brady in the playoffs on the road, but right now I have him at A tier. And the 49ers I will put in S tier. Oh, and for these ones I kind of did them in order, but for all the S tier teams, I'm just putting them as I go. They're all interchangeable. You can make any argument for any team beating any of these teams. So just keep in mind this is all just potentially in the Super Bowl where these ones, this is how I see them playing out. But 49ers look like the best team. I mean, even with Brock Purdy at quarterback, they've been playing great football. I know they barely beat, what did they go to overtime against the Raiders? And they got a pick 6 off of Jarrett Stidham. I mean, the 49ers, they've also had one of the easier schedules. I think it's like 15 of their 17 were against like sub 500 teams, but they're still the best defense in the league. I think they barely beat out the Eagles for that one. Their offense is, I mean, you have weapons across the board, and McCaffrey and Kittle and Debo, and even Brandon Ayuk is playing insane at receiver right now. I think he was a first round pick from like Arizona State. But they look like a juggernaut. Like they're great on both sides of the football, and I think their coach is the best in the NFC, Kyle Shanahan. And that would probably be, I mean, they would be my pick to to make the NFC Championship. And team that I'm a fan of is in the NFC, so I'm still going to pick the 49ers. I think they're the best team. And yeah, that is all the teams. I'm excited for the playoffs. I'm going to be releasing my playoff predictions of what I think is going to happen for each of the games probably on Friday. I would like to get it before all the games. I think the games start like 4 o'clock on Saturday. So I'll have that out on Friday. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.